our stroller parking area. If you are traveling with someone in a scooter or wheelchair, please have this person lead your party through the line. This will help keep your wait time to a minimum. Once again, please keep your group together, keep up with the party in front of you, and fill in all the available space. Thank you for touring with Kilimanjaro. When it comes to safaris, we go wild.
My name's Joe. I'll be your guide out there on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. The okapi was thought to be a myth everywhere outside of their native habitats during forest regions throughout Africa. That was due in part to their admittedly strange appearance, but also the fact that the okapis were very rarely seen in the wild. They're quite a reclusive animal after all, and so it wasn't until around 1901 that the okapi was officially recognized as a real animal by the rest of the world. Now we're going to look very carefully up the hill on our right hand side, look into that massive nest on top of the bushes. You can just see the head of a saddle-billed stork, large black head, orange and yellow beak. Now of course with such a large nest, that is a rather large bird. Over 5 feet tall with a wingspan of around 9 feet, which is roughly the width of the canopy up above your heads. Now, all the way over on our left, that is a black rhinoceros. The black rhino is one of the smaller species in towns when fully grown. They are a solitary creature, so I'm not too surprised that black rhino is out there by himself. They'll spend a majority of their time completely alone, and that's just how they like it. Coming up on our right-hand side, I see a greater kudu. There's actually a few more coming up on our left. These light tan-colored antelopes. Birds that extend off the sides of their head by around 6 feet. When we throw the word greater in front of an animal's name, we're not saying they're the coolest or the best. Greater means largest and or tallest of the species. So greater kudu, that means largest of the kudu. Making our way a little bit deeper into the forest now, we're going to head towards the Salmi River region. So this time I would recommend watching in and around the water if you'd like to try and spot some animals. We'll start on the right and then move over to our left as we make our way down the river. So starting here on our right hand side with some large whitish gray birds, the pink-backed pelicans. They are named for the color of their skin, not their feathers. The color will get brighter with the pelican's mating season. It's one of the main ways that they use to attract their partners. They'll want to pick a good one, since both the male and female pink-backed pelican take part in building their nests and incubating their eggs. To our left-hand side, those are Nile hippo. Nile hippo is technically a land mammal, but they'll spend a majority of their time in the water due to their sensitive skin and nocturnal nature. The hippos will even sleep fully submerged. They can hold their breath anywhere from about 5 to 8 minutes at a time. They don't need to wake up to come up for air. That is a natural instinct.
Wow, the sun's moving. Wow.
Now, generally speaking, when we do find these hippos out in the water, on land, it's at night. And that is when the hippos will forage along the banks of the river area. They can eat around 100 pounds of vegetation throughout that night. All the way out onto our left-hand side, and those are Nile crocodiles. Those Nile crocs get big at around 16 to 18, even 20 feet long when fully grown, over 500 pounds. They're one of the largest of the freshwater crocodilians. Now these crocs are not just large, they are incredibly powerful. They've got one of the strongest bite forces in all of Africa. They're going to use that to eat right around 50% of their body weight in a single meal. That is upwards of 250 pounds worth in one sitting. Now to be fair, the crocodiles don't actually eat every single day. They'll have one very large meal every week to 2 weeks, and in between that time they're staying pretty stationary, nice and still like statues to avoid expending too much energy. The most movement that the crocodiles really do on a daily basis is move in or out of the water. This will help to regulate their body temperatures. The baobab trees act as a bit of a landmark for us out here, especially in some of the more open spaces that tend to dominate the region. So as we head on down, we'll see a few more of them. Is it real or is it Disney? Oh, it's really there.
Nice. Alright, fine.
Now we have reached the Savannah Overlook spot. We can see further out into the distance. The trees are fewer and farther in between, vegetation's less dense. As a result, we're already starting to see some of the animals that are way out in the distance. A journey that will take the wildebeest across 500 to 1,000 miles each year in search of fresh vegetation. Nearby wildebeest herds will join up with one another, sometimes crafting herds as large as 1.5 million animals in total. In terms of population density, the wildebeest are truly only outranked by us humans.
Wow.
Is that another tree? I don't know if it's because
Now coming up on our left-hand side, I do see a number of these Ankoli cattle, as well as the teeny tiny brown and white antelopes of the springbok. Starting with these Ankoli cattle, they're also known as the Watusi cattle for the Watusi people who first domesticated them. They're one of only 2 domesticated animals who make their home here on the reserve. While they may indeed be livestock, the Ankoli were not originally valued for any sorts of milk or meat production capabilities. Instead, they were a symbol, wealth, prosperity to the Watusi people, and as such, the Ankoli cattle were kept more as revered pets than anything else. It was thought that the more of those cattle you had, the richer in life you would be. And yeah, sure, monetary wealth, that's great and all, but it was more of a spiritual wealth that the Watusi people were concerned with. Looking at these springbok, now I like to call them teeny tiny, this is as big as they get. They're known for their ability to spring up into the air by about 6 feet and forward 13. Now full rocking will do a strong emotion of fear or excitement. The springbok aren't just springy, they're incredibly fast, capable of running at speeds between 50 and 60 miles per hour. Now looking out, we are getting this absolutely gorgeous view of the giraffes with the sun rising behind us. These are Maasai giraffes. We can start to identify some of the different giraffe species from their spots. In this case, you may notice, hi friends, we do want to try and be respectful of the animals. Thank you so much. You can look at their coats, their spots. In this case, the spots are rough and jagged, the edges don't line up perfectly. That's also what we're looking at the Maasai giraffes. I'll tell you a little bit more about giraffes in a moment, but I do want to point out all the animals that we're now seeing on our right. Nice and close is an eland, that very large tan antelope. Some of you, I think, noticed the little tiny baby prong that springbok out there did. That is what they look like. They curve up into that C shape. We are seeing more springbok, more wildebeest, even zebras, and dark brown antelopes. Those are the sable antelopes. As we pass by the zebras, I'd like for you guys to try and get a good look at their necks. They've got that extra little bit of loose skin there. It's called a dewlap. And the only species of zebra to have a dewlap is the Hartman's mountain zebra. So we're seeing here now. If you can't quite see that dewlap, that's okay. You can also look at the extra wide stripes on their hind legs. Pair that with the white band on their belly. Hartman's mountain zebra. The iconic zebra zebras. Those sable antelopes we just passed on by, they are the official emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They look familiar. It's probably why. They've got those really cool curved horns atop their head. They are super duper sharp. Sable use them as a defense tool against predators. They don't need to sleep a whole lot, but they do need to eat a lot. Right around 75 pounds worth of vegetation each and every day. The giraf's most useful tool in all that eating is their long, flexible tongue that they can use to reach up into the leaves of the trees and pull down their food.
Wow.
On our right, that is an African elephant, but I do also want you to look to your left to try and catch sight of that mandrill. Mandrills were thought to be the smallest species of ape. We now know them as the largest monkey. That's a visual cue is their tail, since monkeys have tails and apes do not. Mandrills are one of the very few primates who use their teeth as a show of affection rather than aggression. This stems mainly from excessive coltan mining. Colton is used primarily in electronics, cell phones, tablets, computers, smartwatches, cameras, all those fun devices that, yes, sure, we love to have with us. But stand-up mining, it is one of the top contributors to habitat loss throughout all of Africa. It is most certainly not just affecting elephants, but all the animals that live in this region. That's a lot of doom and gloom. I do get that. That story's a bummer. But stick with me because there's a reason why I like to tell it. This is not a story that is being written in stone. The time to change the ending. Coltan mining doesn't need to be as destructive as it currently is just so that we can have our devices. That material can be recycled, reused. It doesn't go bad or have a shelf life. The biggest barrier to slowing down coltan mining, reusing the materials that have already been developed, of which there are plenty going unused. Not enough of it actually does get recycled. So, my challenge for everyone on board today, especially as we continue on, we see more of these incredible creatures that we share our world with. Next time you purchase a new electronic, rather than throw the old one in a drawer, never to be seen or heard from again, or worse, wind up in a landfill, take that device in to be recycled. Not only will you be helping to save the animals' habitat, but you will be saving their lives as well. That is an excellent feeling for something so easy to do. Now, moving right along here to our left are the greater flamingos, the largest and tallest species of flamingos. They also happen to be in the dullest and pink color. Just really pale shade of pink going for them, but they're still so pretty. So even a couple of those birds will have kind of grayish brown feathers, black legs and beaks. Still flamingos, just the youngest of the flock. That's because flamingos aren't actually born, or rather hatch, pink. They get their color slowly over time as a result of their diet, which mainly consists of fried shrimp. It's rich in beta-carotene, and over the period of about a year and a half to 2 years, it's that protein that gives the flamingo their iconic color. Coming up here on our left-hand side are the white rhinos. We saw the black rhino earlier, now we are seeing their larger counterpart, the white rhinos. The white rhinoceros is one of the largest of the rhinos at around 4, 5, even 6,000 pounds when fully grown. They also happen to be quite a social species of rhino. The white rhinos are often found in herds of up to about 15 at a time. It's called a crash white rhino. So we might get to see a few more of them as we continue traveling through the savannah. One of my favorite things about any rhino species is going to be watching their ears. They tend to be pretty active, twitching this way and that. A rhino's most well-developed sense is their sense of hearing, and so the left and right ear will work independently to track sounds, regardless of where they may be coming from. It is the main way that the rhinos interact with the world around them, especially since their eyesight's really not the greatest. Rhinos tend to be incredibly nearsighted, so they need that hearing to know where things are, and if there's any trouble nearby. Catch up a little bit to this rhino. I do think it's very special that we've gotten to see so many rhinos today. We saw the black rhino earlier, the white rhinos now. There are 5 remaining rhino species in the world. They are all listed at some level of threatened, endangered, or critically endangered. This is not due to natural causes. Rhinos have 0 natural predators. The only real threat to their populations comes from us, from humans. This is partially due to habitat loss, but also poaching. Rhinos are most commonly poached for their horns. There's this long-held belief out there that rhino horns have medicinal value. That is not correct. That has been disproven. Rhino horns are made out of keratin. That is the very same material as our own hair and fingernails, and as such, it holds no value to us. We do not need them. The rhinos do. Educating ourselves and others will always be a great first step into protecting any vulnerable animal or their habitat. But if you're interested in learning more, doing more, there are conservation groups around the world that can only see some in the distance. It is directly thanks to those conservation groups that some of the animal populations are beginning to recover. For example, in the past decade, black rhino populations have doubled. And that's all thanks to regular, everyday people like you and me who are assisting these conservation groups in preserving these animals for generations to come. On our left, we're seeing some warthogs. Warthogs are the largest burrowing mammal. They use their sharp, curved upper tusks to dig out the holes in the ground that they call home. It's about the only thing that they use their upper tusks for. Warthogs have a second set of smaller, sharper tusks on their bottom jaw, and that's predators. They even back up into their burrows at night to be best ready to defend themselves. One last look at those white rhinos, and then on our right-hand side, got a really solid view of that water bug, that shaggy kind of grayish-brown antelope out there. Water bug, like their name suggests, they do like to spend their time near bodies of water, and for a really good reason. Especially in comparison to other antelope species, the water bug's hydration needs are a little bit dramatic. Most antelopes don't drink water every day. Many of them don't even drink water every week. But those water bucks, they need to rehydrate themselves multiple times every single day. As a result, their grazing ranges tend to be pretty small. They don't want to step too far away from their watering holes if they can avoid it. We're now moving into the final section of the reserve, the Magadi Glen. We'll pass by the warden's post here on our left and make sure you check out the yard. Because recently the warden has started caring for some domesticated livestock animals, the Nigerian dwarf goats. These goats are small, they're silly, they're playful, they are adorable. Nigerian dwarf goats are also incredibly important to farming communities found throughout Africa today. They're kept less for their small size and truly mainly for the sweet milk that they produce. Sells very well as milk, butter, and cheese. These days, we've even been seeing a rise throughout some of the communities found here in Africa where people are choosing to earn their income in a more sustainable way, like with the help of domesticated livestock versus the less sustainable approaches of cats, which unfortunately quite often does include poaching the wildlife around them. I'll tell you what, that shift is an incredible example and reminder of how animals and humans can live together in harmony, done correctly and respectfully. The biggest takeaway there, you gotta find the ways to work with animals and not against them. We've only got this one great big beautiful world, we have to share it, and so we might as well find the ways to do so peacefully. That tends to look a little bit different for everyone, that's fine. Finding the sustainable alternatives that work for you, for your family, it can take time, patience, and research. The best piece of generalized advice that I could give to someone who's trying to get started on their own sustainability journey: take it slow and start small if that is what you need. Every little bit counts, it adds up, it makes a difference. Just trying to remember that it's not one person's job to save or change the world. It takes all of us working together, making those best practice decisions when and where we can in this community effort. That is what will craft a brighter, more beautiful tomorrow for us, for the animals, and for the generations who walk this earth long after we are gone.
Hey.
I love it. That's what they call her.
Let me keep turning around. Oh, he's got so high with his screen. He's trying to find off this way. Yeah, I just say big.
What's on?